Hello Stampers, how are you today? My name is Linda Edwards and I'm with Crafty Heron Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I am going to teach you how to make this fun fold card today. Now I'm making it as a masculine card, but obviously you could use different designer series paper and accents and create this any way you want. This I created it as a happy birthday card originally, but it could be a Father's Day card. It just really lends itself to a lot of different things. But sometimes, it's hard to come up with masculine cards. And, since I've been a card maker, I find that, the people in my life, the men in my life have gotten used to having something kind of extra special as a card. And so I'm constantly being challenged to live up to that expectation. So I thought this was a fun one, and I'm going to show you how to make this today. It's really very straightforward. I am using the He's All That stamp set, which comes with a lot of different sentiments, as you can see. I am going to use the Wishing You a Happy Father's Day and the Holy Smokes, You're Amazing. And I chose those sentiments because it goes with this paper. Isn't this cute, this designer series paper? It's got a lot of different options for things that the men in your life enjoy that, maybe are not sports or very traditional. So it is from the current annual catalog. This is the new catalog from Stampin' Up! And you can see there's some fun, different options on the, and the main catalog. And then these are the papers that I'm using. And one of the things I like about this fun fold is it's a fun way to kind of showcase different kinds of papers. And as you can see, there are cars, there are camping, there's a, I don't know if you can see that. This is kind of like glasses and mustache and necktie. And then of course there's this fun barbecue paper. And I decorated the envelope because, you have to decorate the envelope. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how to make this. And this shouldn't take very long. These are the measurements. I will also go ahead and put them in the description. You can find my videos on Facebook as well as on YouTube. So wherever you're watching today, I appreciate your being here. So this is the first one. It's a basic black card base. It's cut at 8.5 by 5.5, and it is scored at 4 1/4, and well, I guess it would be this way, 2 1/8 and 4 1/4, and it is going to be folded. Let's see, folded in half like a traditional card, and then the second fold is going to come backwards like a Z fold. So I guess this could be some kind of a Z fold. I don't know really what this fold is called, but it's a fun one. And then I also, you will also need a basic black square. Now I did go ahead and die cut this one with the Stylish Shapes dies. These are also new in the new catalog. As you can see, they have squares, circles, and then these fun banners. So, I did use the Stylish Shapes die. You don't have to do that. You certainly just cut it 3 inches square. Make it easy on yourself if you don't have the dies. And then for the band, I've got the Sahara Sand. It is also cut at 8.5, and it's 1.5 inches wide. It is folded at 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. So it's folded the same way as the card base, but it's going to be it's scored the same way as the card base. It'll be folded the other way. So it's going to also be a Z fold, but it's going to be folded this way. And I'll show you as we put it together. It'll become apparent why it's folded that way. And then I've got some Cajun Craze papers for layering. I've got the 5 1/4 by 4 inches. That's your standard card base for layering. And then 2 more are cut at 5 1/4 and 1 7/8. And then you'll also need 1 scrap for the sentiment. And I already went ahead and die cut the sentiment. This die comes with I think it's called the He's the Man Suite. Isn't this fun? Fun little die, which you can use on so many different cards. And you'll see that as I said, I already cut that one out. I am going to cut out the other sentiment, and I'm going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to use the new magnetic plate. I'm going to give you a few tips for using that. So just a little heads up. And then as far as the rest of the paper, you need another designer series paper. This one is cut at 5 by 3 3/4, so it's just a little bit shorter than this one, so it's going to be layered. And then you've got another layer of designer series paper cut at 1 5/8. 1 5/8 by 5 inches. So these are both 5 inches. And actually this paper is the reverse, right, of that one. And then I also cut some designer series paper for the envelope. And that one is cut at 6 by 2 1/4 inches. And then I cut a coordinating piece at 2 1/2 inch square. So those two. And then, you know, the envelope, you just glue it on and then cut it out. So we won't go through that. So this is a 2 1/2 inch square. So those are all the pieces that you will need for the card. So the first thing, you know, I usually like to start with with stamping, but because I want to show you kind of we'll go ahead and stamp first. So this is the scrap piece of crumb cake that you need for your stamping. And I'm using the Holy Smokes, You're Amazing stamp. And this is just Memento black ink. And I'm going to die cut this. So there you go. And you might look at it and say, oh, it didn't stamp very well, but it's actually designed to be like that little bit of, it's designed to look like that. It's not meant to be a really super solid stamp. It's kind of, trust me, I did it several times trying to get it darker, and then I realized, oh, well, that's the way the stamp is. And then we are going to die cut this little oval out of that. So I told you I was going to talk to you about this new magnetic plate that is available from Stampin' Up. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you about this is because there's a little bit of an error. Number one, I love this new magnetic plate. It is, I mean, it's heavy, really heavy. It's metal on the back, and it's got this like cushy, you can see already I've cut in it and, you know, created some indentations. That's fine. But one of the things I wanted to tell you is not only does it cut amazingly, but there is a little bit of an error in the information sheet that comes with it. So you know how all of the Stampin' Up cut and emboss machines give you this little diagram as to how to put your sandwich together. So this one talks about, you know, for die cutting, all the different layers. So the first layer is your base, right? Your number one plate. And then it says to put the second layer in, and this is the one you would normally use for cutting your thin dies. We should call this the thin die adapter. However, if you use this, you will find that it won't work, doesn't work. So that's an error. Don't use this number 2 plate. So right now, right when you get that, make sure you go ahead and cross that out so that you're not confused. You do not need that number 2 plate. So Stampin' Up's going to come out with a new cover for that, but you heard it here. So then your next layer is your magnetic plate, and then you put your die on there, and it holds. I don't know if you had the old cut and emboss machine, and it didn't really hold very well, or sometimes it was a little wonky. It would move on you. You know how magnets can be a little wonky. This one stays in place beautifully. And then the only other thing you need is your number 3 plate to put on top of there, and you run it through. And like I said, it stays beautifully. You don't need to tape it down. It just is fabulous. I'm so excited about that new magnetic plate. I'll tell you, if you have the cut and emboss machine, you will not be disappointed if you purchase this magnetic plate. It's just so cool. Okay, can you tell I'm excited about it? And as I said, I already cut that one out. So got that all done. The other bit of stamping is going to happen on the inside, but because I want to make sure you get it the right way, I'm gonna wait and assemble everything together, and then we'll stamp that. So very straightforward, putting it all together. This is your inside, as we talked about. You fold in half like a normal card, and then you take this top flap and fold it back, so it's a Z fold. Maybe that's what we should call it, a Z fold card. I don't really know if this fun fold has a name. I didn't know what to call it, so I couldn't really. So I'm just calling it a fun fold, right? It doesn't have to have a name. But if you know if there's a name for it, go ahead and comment. I would appreciate it. As a matter of fact, anytime you'd like to comment, it really helps other people find me. So I appreciate your comments. Letting me know if you tried these cards on your own. I'd love for you to, if you did try it on your own with other designer series paper, or a different kind of maybe an adaptation of it. I'd love to see it. Go ahead and post it on in the comments. That would be really fun to see. And as you see, I am putting all of this just kind of, this is open, and I'm just layering all of the Cajun Craze all the way around. And I like to use liquid glue. Just use whatever adhesive you are most comfortable with. I know some people just feel like the liquid glue gets all over their paper. And then I'm gonna, again, layer another layer of designer series paper. So yeah, some people, I know that liquid glue gets all over their fingers and it doesn't work for them. And for this card, it doesn't really matter. Regular adhesive, liquid or snail works just as well. All right, and then we're gonna put together the sentiment portion. So this is as I said, I did die cut it with those Stylish Shapes dies, and I'm gonna just layer this designer series paper on top of there. And I just feel like it's a nice, fun way to add some interest to this card. I'm gonna pop that whole thing up, so I am not going to adhere that part yet. All right, there we go. Just layer that. Isn't that cute? I just love the way those dies layer together. All right, so now we have all of our pieces, and we're gonna assemble the rest of our card. So remember I told you, you've got this band that we're layering. So it's cut at 8 1/2, it's scored at 4 1/4, 2 1/8, and I guess that would be 2 1/8, 4 1/4, but you're gonna kind of turn it around because it's the opposite. It's gonna go together the opposite of the way the card base is folded. So your card base has the 2 1/8 on this side, and your banner piece has it on the opposite side. I hope that makes sense. I hope you can see why we're doing that, right? And it's actually gonna fit just right like that. So that means that our stamping is gonna go here. You could either put it here or you could put it here. I feel like I like it here because when you open it, you really see it. And then if you want more room to write, personally, I never know what to write. I make the cards, that's my thing. So I have a hard time knowing what to write. So I'm gonna just sign it with my name. But if you wanted more room to write, you could certainly do that on the back of the card. You can add another panel to the back of the card. Now this one is a little tricky because it's a cling stamp, so you can't really see through it, right? So it's hard to tell where it's gonna line up. And one of the things I like to do is check my stamp, right, to see, did I get that? Can you see that? Yeah. Did I get that evenly? Is it gonna stamp straight? So what I'm doing is I'm looking through and I'm using the lines on my paper to just check my stamp to see if it's gonna be accurate. And here, because it's got those 2 little dashes on either side, I'm lining that up with my lines on my scrap paper. Oh, perfect. See, it really does line up really well. So I know that I can look through it and feel confident that as long as my eyesight is good, that it should be lining up well. So I'm going to use the little lines there as a guide. And the other thing is it is narrow, so, you know, not a big deal, but I do want to try and make sure I get the whole thing on. Yes, okay, I'm happy with that. I hope you would be as well. Okay, now we are just going to go ahead and put it together. So the first thing I like to do when putting together a card like this, I'm going to kind of, you know, you could do it wherever you want. I am going to make it kind of in the center because I'm going to center this on here, but I want to get this strap down first. So I am just going to, look at that, I got a little piece there. There we go. So what I'm going to do so that I know where I want my glue, my adhesive to be, is I turn it. You see what I did? This is the way it's going to go on. I'm going to turn it upside down, and then I know my adhesive is only going to go on this side. And for this, you do want to use, I would say, either tear and tape or liquid glue or Stampin' Seal Plus, because you are going to get some movement with this card. So I am using this line here to guide me so that I get it straight, and I'm just really kind of eyeballing it as well. So that piece is going to go there, and now that means that this piece is going to be glued here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and press it down, and then I'm going to actually take, because I've got it pressed down, I'm going to actually take this and fold it over. Yay, it worked. It's all straight. It's a little trick there for you. Okay, so now we want to line this up. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Remember what I did? I just turned it over. Well, I guess I usually turn it this way. With this, it doesn't matter because it's square, so it's not going to matter which way you turn it. But see how I've got it lined up so that I can use those guidelines to make sure that I don't get the glue. And I could go higher up here, but because there's paper there, it's not going to hold anyway. So I don't get the glue, I don't glue it closed, right? Here we go. And I am just kind of looking, I want it to be centered, top to bottom, side to side. Check it. Whoops. I have to let it hold for a little bit to make sure it dries. And then I'm going to put this up on dimensionals. So bring in my dimensionals, and you could certainly do more if you want, but I think 2 is fine. And I'm just kind of lining that up, centering it there. And then I thought, well, it looks good, but I just like to have a little extra something. And so these are the matte black dots. I don't even know if they're still available in the current catalog. I'm sorry, I meant to check that. But there are definitely other black dots that are currently available if you don't already have them. But you could, obviously if you're doing it with a different designer series paper, different colors, you use what works for you. Here's these are the matte black dots that I used. And that's it. Isn't that fun? And here's the envelope. Here's the envelope that I did ahead of time. I used that same designer series paper there. If you feel like you want to have more writing, I would go ahead and use that same crumb cake and put it on the back. Excuse me, I said crumb cake. It's Sahara Sand. It's Sahara Sand. That's the coordinating color. And the envelope, I used the Very Vanilla because I thought the lighter, softer color went well with this paper. It went better than like the basic white. So you could put either a Sahara Sand or a Very Vanilla piece on the back here if you felt like you wanted to have a nice message. And my original one, I did as a happy birthday. This happy birthday sentiment is from the Peaceful Moments. It's one of my favorites. I get a lot of use out of that Peaceful Moments stamp set. So that's it. That's your card for today. I hope that you enjoyed it. As I said, if you make one with a different designer series paper, would love to see what you create. It's a nice, easy one. I love to do simple cards that I feel like it looks, I don't know, a little fancier than it really is. If you would like to see more, I try and post videos a couple times a month, and you can find me either on my Facebook page, Crafty Here in Designs. You can follow me on Instagram and on YouTube. And if you do not currently have your own demonstrator, I would love to help you unleash your inner creativity. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.